Good afternoon. This is Jan Snoeij. It's 5:01, so we'll wait a little bit more time to see whether there are more participants joining us. And so we'll keep silent for a couple of minutes, I guess. Okay, good afternoon again. Very welcome to this webinar of the Manufacturing Operation Management Institute. It's the second of today, as you can see that we had one on sorry, I got a message over here. That's also the intent, that we are interactive. Be aware this session is being recorded, and it's likely that we will publish it on our website, this one or this morning's session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. There's a little icon with a hand which you can click on. That's what we can see, and otherwise my co-presenter, or not presenter, but Sarah will interrupt me and ask the question. I can hear her. You are muted right now, and at the end we'll have approximately 5 minutes, maybe 10, depends a bit, for Q&A. Then you can speak freely, but the principle is the same. Raise your hand, or that's another option. You can type your question in the chat or question box, and we will see that and respond to that. So again, welcome. Educating for a post-corona manufacturing world. It is, well, I'm Jan Snoeij, as said before. I'm president of MOMi, but also senior business consultant. That's my immediate job, actually. And I'm in this arena of manufacturing operation management for quite a while, as you can see, supporting all kinds of manufacturing companies. Also quite active within MESA International, the Association for Manufacturing Enterprise Solutions, as it's being called right now. And that's a great network to leverage, to make use of. Of course, we all know about the coronavirus, and I hope you all and all yours are safe and healthy right now. If not, I hope that it will speedily recover, because it's the stories I hear about it, it's no fun to have this disease for many people. They really suffer from this. And next to that, because of all the things we do to avoid the spread of the virus, it's a rather weird time. We have closed shops, restaurants, and bars, and schools are closed, at least in my country. Overloaded hospitals, people staying at home as much as possible, all those things. And terrible. And we hope that it will go away soon, that we are fighting the coronavirus with success, and that it's end of that one. For now, it's uncertain times, and we don't know what will happen next. And fortunately, if you look at China and some other countries, it seems that we see some light at the end of the tunnel, that we start improving and starting to win this battle. But if you look at this, if we see the initiatives all over the world, companies are doing something completely different than they normally do. For example, the Swinkels Brewery here in the Netherlands, it's a brewery making beer, and they had quite a few bit of beer in stock, so to say. They reuse that beer as raw material in order to create a sanitizer, and that's of course something we can use very well, cleaning our hands, etc., and cleaning all kinds of surfaces, etc., in order to distort, I would say, the spread of the disease. Other luxury goods companies like Dior and Louis Vuitton are doing the same. And if you look further, also companies which are more discrete manufacturing, you could say, are producing parts or complete ventilator systems in order to have more of this equipment available for all the people in the hospitals, especially in the intensive cares. Automotive manufacturers, similar initiatives. I would say great, but it's rather strange, because it's not their normal business. And if you look also, for example, another one is Burberry, which is a fashion house in the UK, producing gowns and masks. Not only producing those things, but also they are utilizing their supply network, supply chain network, to fast track the delivery of those surgical masks, that they get to the people who need it the most. And also on the other end, that's also the example of Philips. Philips is of course a well-known manufacturer of high-end critical care ventilators, but they are ramping up their production, quadrupling it even in a few weeks, instead of what normally would take at least 2 years. And so, but if you realize that for these high-end equipment, 200 components at least, probably a few more, are needed for the final assembly, which takes place in the US. But these components are made in 26 countries. So it is not only about production capacity and capability to make that available, to ramp up the production, the final assembly. It's way more than that. It's in all those countries, and all those factories who make those components, produce those, have to do that in time, in larger volumes than they're used to, and also get the stuff in time and as quickly as possible in that final assembly factory in the US, which is a huge challenge. So all kinds of things that are happening, but also show that at least a number of companies are able to, or at least minimum try to, contribute to the solution of our battle against corona, and especially the healthcare of people, are doing out of the ordinary things. It's not the normal way of working, not the best practices. No, they just say, we want to do something here, and it's also part of the business and also part of their own survival on the long run, I guess. But it is strange. It's absolutely not normal. But this will end, and we don't know when it will end, but we hope that it will be as soon as possible. But after the corona crisis, people say we're going back to normal. But is it really the same normal as we had before the crisis? I don't think so. At least we realize now that things are not as well structured, as solid, and as strong as they should be. It's typical fragile. Everything falls together or falls apart, I have to say. But the big question is, of course, if it's not the normal, what will change and what will remain the same? What lessons do we learn from this crisis in order to, well, first of all, avoid this big crisis like this one the next time, but also that we have better ways of ramping up, scaling down, and respond to whatever the crisis is asking from us. One thing is for sure, we always will be manufacturers, transforming raw materials into valuable products. That's what we do. That's our business. So valuable in the perception of the consumer, the final customer, at the right-hand side of this slide. And everyone who is involved in this end-to-end value chain or supply chain should do a great job. And we should do that even better than before, maybe. And it's, of course, the question was also how to manage your supply chain and ecosystem before we had the crisis, but during this crisis as well. If you look at Philips, in order to get all those parts from those 26 countries together at one production line or one production facility, I must say, in the US, to produce those high-end ventilators, that's a hell of a job. And if it's out of the ordinary, then it's even more challenging, I would say. On the other hand, every partner in this supply chain, especially if we are having a factory, how do we optimize our own plant and align with the demands and all the things that are needed from that consumer perspective throughout the entire supply chain? Basically, we will be manufacturers and we will remain so. So we have to utilize all our resources for efficiency and effectiveness, compliance. Well, efficiency and effectiveness, basically, that's producing the right quality of a product, the right product at a very low cost, at the lowest possible cost even. Of course, we need to be compliant to all applicable regulations. But for what we learned actually right now, and also from, to a certain extent, I think from previous crises, is that we need to be agile, that we are able to respond adequately to the changing things in our environment, the changing demand in this case. And while doing so, we need to improve continuously. It's basically about our major resources, equipment, materials, and people. All three of them in the right combination for every step in our manufacturing process to produce that valuable that valuable product and that perfect order that we have to deliver. So if we do that in the right way, and know that what we do, that we are really in control, that's something that can help us to become less dependent on our individual resources, because that's what we have learned. If something falls over, whether it's people or something else, we have an issue. And especially now, when people are getting ill in large numbers, we don't have enough human resources in this case. But the same is true for any other resource we have. You could ask, is smart manufacturing something that can help us to become more agile, more performant, easier to comply to regulations, etc.? Well, basically, it is something that goes on through the centuries, that every time we find something new, whether it's the steam and water power, whether it's electricity, whether it's IT, whether it's cyber physical systems, every time we get something additional on top of what we had already in order to further improve in also an increasingly more complex environment. So yes, it can help. Those advanced technologies and methodologies and concepts that are in that fourth industrial revolution, in smart manufacturing or industry 4, whatever you want to call it, that's something that we see that helps us to become less dependent on equipment, people, and get more agile, especially. I could tell days about those things mentioned here, those technology concepts, which I'm not going to do because I have only 20-25 minutes. So, but we have a training program on this, and to find out how to deal with those technologies, how to get the maximum out of that. But, and it was interesting to hear a conversation, a discussion between Konrad Leva and Mike Yost, both now at SESMI, but I know them from my MESA International, and they're good friends from each other, but also from me. And they had some discussion about, well, the Corona crisis, what helps, and how do we get out of this? The first sentence, the first quote actually, that we should have visibility from everything, from everywhere, that we can know exactly and make a decision. What can I make now? Where can I make it? And also, if I need anything, materials, people, or equipment, where can I get it from? And that kind of things. So in this case, who can quickly build ventilators and make personal protective equipment for healthcare workers during a pandemic? That's something that is a question we never ask unless we have such a crisis. And the crazy thing is that normally, and even before the crisis, with respect to smart manufacturing industry 4, most people were focusing already on the short term, and now they do even more because we are in a hurry. We need to have a quick response. These materials and equipment need to be available now. But in order to leverage all those technologies and approaches, we need to have a really strategic plan, a good plan where we want to be in a couple of years' time from now, and a roadmap step by step how to get there, how we are going to ramp up. And if we would have sorted this before the crisis, I think we could have responded to it way better than we are doing right now. We do the best we can. So no offense. But this is something we learn right now. If we are better prepared, then we can act better and respond better. That's basically our agility where I'm talking about. And focusing short term is not a thing we need to do, because then you get more or less like something like this. Too busy? That's why we make not use of great things in the maximum way. Something else that we have to take into account, I think, is technology may change quite fast. But organizations, as you can see in this cartoon, well, it's a different story. And probably if you read this, it's something that is quite familiar. At least I come across this quite often, and I am happy that at least for you as participants, the technology does work. Otherwise, you would not be in this call, in this webinar. So digital transformation, Industry 4 is not always good. And these data, this information comes from Keith Kitani, who has done some research on this and published a great article. I don't know what I mentioned, but you get a copy of the slides. We will send it to you probably tomorrow or just after the weekend. And in that material, you find also the complete text of his article he wrote about failures at digital transformation and why. It's in the end, most business, most companies know and realize, are aware that they must digitize, must step into that fourth industrial revolution technology and methodology. But if you look at some big companies in this world who spend an awful lot of money, $1.3 trillion, it's a huge amount of money in these transformation initiatives. But the bad news is that they probably wasted about 70% of it, $900 billion. We could have done way better with that. And the biggest reason why they wasted that amount of money, that they failed, is that they were not able to effectively communicate what they wanted to do, their goals, their strategy, etc., with their employees. It's about change management. That means that, yes, you need someone driving this at the top, the C-level managers, but everyone needs to be involved. So you need to tell them, make them aware, and that they also own the idea how to move forward, how to ramp up, how to innovate. It's the organization's failures. It's not the people who are the problem. It is the organization's failure to communicate effectively. That's where we have the trouble from the start, I would say, if you don't do this. And that's what Keith definitely mentioned. He has a 6-point program or plan of attack, I would say, to communicate better and have everyone lined up in the right way to participate to the new initiative and make it successful. Fortunately, there are so good examples from smart manufacturing. So yes, it can help. Absolutely. I said that, and it's not just all misery. These are from McKinsey. They found 4 examples in this case. There are way more, but big data, an African gold mine, because of big data analytics, they found some fluctuations in their process, which they could tackle and increase the yield with 3.7%, which is an awful lot of money, as you can see. Also, an automaker in the automotive industry, they have an online configurator that people can configure their own car as they want to have it, based on standard components and options. And they found out that the number of options they offered to the market was way too big. Many things were not chosen at all. So if you reduce those number of options, in this case they did, they could save of the extra 30% gross margin. In the logistics company, if you have augmented reality in your supporting tools for order picking or material picking, the error rates went down with 40%, which is significant. And the last one is also in automotive car builders. If you have new parts in R&D, especially rapid prototyping, 3D printing is great. So just a few examples of how smart manufacturing Industry 4 can help us and make us more successful. We are manufacturers, and manufacturing operations and some basic principles of that, and in this case I'm referring to white paper 38 of MESA about manufacturing maturity. And manufacturing maturity is equal, and the higher your maturity, the higher, the better your performance is. But it's not just technology, it's way more than technology. It is the way of working your processes. It's your people skill set, what they are able to do, what they know, what their experience is, their skill sets. It's your organizational structure and governance, and it's technology. All 4 are equally important, should be aligned in order to contribute to achieving your strategy, your strategic goals. And if you have 5 levels, that's typically for the maturity model, base level, ad hoc, level 1, do as you think is okay at the point of time you have to decide. If you have planned and control, meaning your planning, dispatching, your execution is standardized. Level 3 is, did you standardize everything? Okay, then you're achieving a higher level of performance. Going to operational manufacturing excellence, where continuous improvement is built in at the maximum level. These 2 together makes that manufacturing maturity model. And that's helping us to determine where we are today and how we can, with the help of technology, improve ways of working, trained people, educated people, and an aligned organization can improve our performance and grow our maturity. As an example, if you deploy just only technology, here depicted as IT, for example, if your current situation is like this, you see that people's skill sets are lagging. In this case, there is a gap. If you invest only in technology, IT or smart technology, whatever it is, you create a bigger misalignment gap. It doesn't pay off. It doesn't help you. You still are at level 1 maturity, so a low level of performance. All 4 levels need to be gradually improved in alignment. By the way, if you look at these levels, typically to get from the bottom of this picture, I would say, from level 1 and grow to level 3, that's something you can do with the current Industry 3 technologies, MES, MOM, LIMS, and these kind of applications. As a technology side, of course, you have to address your processes, your organization and governance, and of course, train your people adequately in line with that, then you can grow. The real benefits from smart technologies are coming from level 3 up, just that you know. So buying Industry 4 things or smart technologies doesn't make too much sense, or any sense at all, I would say, if your maturity is not yet at level 3. So the 4th industrial revolution is built on a solid basis of the 3rd. So you have to deal with the 3rd first, and that's typically MES MOM. That's the primary continuous improvement enabler. Once you're at level 3 and then want to grow further, then the smart technology comes in and will help you to raise your performance even further. Mike Yost, president of MESA International, at least till 2 years ago, but he mentioned smart manufacturing is equal parts of smart people and smart technologies, meaning that we have to educate our people. Those smart people are still sorting through the ins and outs of smart manufacturing, what it is, etc. They are required. So, others have been stating that, well, we are automating everything and get less dependent on maybe equipment. It's all automated and less dependent on people because they're all automated away. It's not true. We do need them. It's 50-50. 50% people, 50% smart technologies. So we have to pay attention and invest in our people. People always have been and always will be crucial for success. The corona crisis is not making any change to this. However, they are too often forgotten. And also in previous crises, in the crisis, the economical one in 2008, we have noticed those who invest in people, they are faster in ramping up after a crisis. And investing in people absolutely pays off. And smart manufacturing requires, of course, standardization of your processes. Organization must be harmonized, and the change management need to be sorted. Communication in your organization is key. That awareness and ownership and commitment, absolutely key. But people, they need to be there, and we need to educate them appropriately, because in the end, people are still making that difference. The difference between great performance or less good performance. That leads to the conclusions. Yes, the manufacturing world, the world in total, I would say, will definitely be different after Corona. We have learned quite a few things, and we will learn more things in the weeks and months ahead of us. But the focus in manufacturing will remain at efficiency, effectiveness, compliance, and definitely increased agility. It's not just in our own factory, but in the entire value chain from begin to end, from the real raw material to the final consumer of the product. That's what it's all about right now in the Corona crisis, getting those medicines, those protective clothing to the healthcare people, for the patients, etc. These people are the final consumers, and they need good stuff, good help. But also in the normal way of working, normal in the future, whatever that normal will mean, I think that smart manufacturing is definitely helping us to enhance our worker skills and offer tools for further improvements. So we need people with advanced skills. So education is key for success. In these days, it's not possible to meet each other face to face physically. So that's why MOMi started to transform a number of our education programs to online. And 3 of them are already scheduled for the next weeks, and probably will be more. And it starts with MOMi, all you need to know. It's about that foundation, sort of foundation for being able to leverage the Industry 4 stuff. That's smart manufacturing Industry 4 strategies. How to leverage those methodologies, those technologies in the best possible way in your situation. Create a plan for the future. That's what we do together in that session. Cybersecurity, because it's a connecting world. It's increasing all over the place where what we put together connect to each other, and it's end-to-end supply chain. Cybersecurity is increasingly important because unfortunately there are all kinds of people who think otherwise and want to abuse all the vulnerabilities and have a threat to us. The regular programs still are scheduled from June on. I'm not sure that it will take place. That depends heavily how the situation will be. Probably they will be postponed to a later date, but we will definitely, if you have a need for this, transform all our programs into online programs. It's, to my personal view, maybe not the best. You don't have the real interaction between people, the participants, and the instructor, but it's the second best. It's the best we have today. So I hope that you will be able to benefit from that. And that concludes my presentation in this webinar today. I don't know whether there are any questions, so please raise your hand or type a question in the question box, then we can look at it. I'd like to thank you for your participation in this webinar, and the floor is open for questions. Sarah, are there any questions? As far as you know, so she's not online, unfortunately, so I don't see anything. Maybe I can try to answer a question I got this morning, and I already hinted to this a little bit. The question was about, we had a crisis 20 or 12 years ago, an economical one, which lasted quite long on one hand, at least till we recovered to the normal level as before the crisis in 28. And the crisis we are in right now, are there any differences or synergies or the similarities between the two? I thought that was an interesting question. Yes, we have similar situations in one hand, but on the other hand, it's completely different. The economy, of course, that is also negatively impacted by the current crisis, as it was in 12 years ago. But basically, that crisis was not too long. It took a long time to recover from it, because if you look back from 2009 onwards, we had economical growth. Not spectacular, not huge, but it was a growth for 11 years in a row, which is unprecedented in history, actually. Right now, of course, we go down again, and whether we get into a recession or not, I don't know. But anyway, it's something that is definitely there. I think that the crisis now may be a little bit shorter, but it will take probably longer, even longer than the previous time, to recover completely, because the damage is so huge because of this coronavirus, and many things come to a complete stop. Of course, governments making huge budgets available right now, which they did not in the previous crisis, so that may be of help, but whether it's good enough or enough at all, I don't know. And a huge difference, an important difference, is that in 28 we didn't have smart manufacturing yet. We didn't have these advanced technologies. We do have them now. At least it's work in progress, but to a certain extent we have them, and we can make use of them. And if you do that in a smart, structured way, that will be a good thing. I see there's a question from William. I tried to unmute you. Let's see whether that works. Yes, then you have to. William, you have to unmute yourself, I'm afraid.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Great. You have a question?
Yes, yeah. I wonder on your opinion about how governments and regulators will play an impact, or what impact they will have on the future of smart manufacturing after the coronavirus.
Well, of course, if it comes down to regulations with respect to medical devices and healthcare products, they're a little bit more easy right now, because they realized they have no alternative, no chance, so they go for it. But I know that all those rapidly developed products like ventilators, new ones, will be tested and checked later on. So it is probably with hindsight that they will go through the normal procedures. But right now they are a little bit more easy. And of course, many countries are making huge budgets available to support people and support companies. I know about the US is of course a well-known example. They put trillions of dollars into the economy. I don't know how you're from Ireland, I think, William. So I don't know what Ireland is doing. I know Europe is doing quite a bit as the EC. I know from my country, I hear from other countries as well. China has done a lot, and other. So that's something that is definitely different, and that will help. How long they are able to give us this support, that's a big question. It's a lot of money, you know. And I think that we need to take care in the first place of our own business and development in a structured plan, because that's the most healthy and the most secure way to do things in order to secure your own business, I mean. Do you have another opinion on this, William?
I've seen in the UK that the government actually is, before this crisis, was making grants available to companies, UK companies that had smart manufacturing initiatives.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good catalyst for a number of manufacturers to start implementing manufacturing operations management systems. I think it's something that's very good that other European governments, and I now live in the US in San Francisco for the past 6 years, but I think the US government could also do a better job of enabling manufacturers to be smarter and to really move towards this fourth industrial revolution and kickstart the economy again once the coronavirus is complete.
Yeah. Well, the characteristic of the Industry 4 initiatives around the globe is that many countries already made big budgets available, I would say, for new developments. That's from 2014 onwards, absolutely the case. An increasing number of countries, and I've been traveling quite a bit, and I came across programs nearly everywhere. So that was a good thing. It was one of the big benefits of the situation, I would say, with respect to smart manufacturing in Industry 4 developments, because governments were supporting this. Basically, the German government started with this. They were not allowed to subsidize their own industry, so they created a great program and put money into that program that basically everyone could benefit. At least it was the intent, of course, the German industry, the machine building industry in the first place, and using cyber physical systems, and the other industries who make use of those advanced machines would benefit from it as well. But you know, industry is not local, it's not in one country. Industry is definitely global, and that's why it has a spread around the globe, and many countries have done the same, which is great because it was an extra boost, I would say, for manufacturing industry, manufacturing operations in general, and that will continue. I think, and if we use that money smartly, those budgets smartly, and develop the right things, apply them in the right way, in a structured way, have a good plan towards the future, and work on that, then every company can benefit from it, to my opinion. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, then I'd like to thank you very much for your participation this afternoon. And hopefully we'll meet again somewhere, be it virtually or in real life. I hope that we'll be able soon to meet people again. Otherwise, we have to do it with the second best, which is kind of webinar and online sessions. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.